Hey, it's MK and I am here for another layout for Baby Got Scraps, and today I am working on this layout here. I have a couple wood pieces that I found in my scrap box that I believe are from Close to My Heart. They are a little thicker than the chipboard that I'm going to use as well. Here are my two photos of us coming around the bend into June Lake. I have a couple little stamps left over from, one of the embellishment boxes, as well as this hike flare, which I don't end up using, but I try. This is the Dusty Attic Journey chipboard set that I have available in my shop. I have this branding strip from Close to My Heart. I think it's from the Valor collection that they had, or Victory collection. Victory, I think is what it is. But I wanted to use the best of times. I also have these wood grain pieces that I thought would be really cool to use as my photo mats, but then the way that I want my pictures, I don't think they're going to work. So we'll see. I also have this Tim Holtz 8x9 or 6x9 piece of paper, 6x8. This basic gray scrap as well. Lots of little scraps for this piece, but I don't end up using every single piece of scrap, to be honest. I should have done a 2-page layout. Now, this rice paper here, I can't remember where it's from. I don't know if it's Stamperia. I think it is, but it also might be something called Ciao Bella. But I can't remember. I was looking at the backside, and I really do like the backside, except for all the words are reversed. So I think that would drive me nuts. But I honestly did really like the backside. But I picked the front because of all the colors, and that's where I got my color scheme from. I have this framed wood grain piece. I used the inner bit, but I need to use the outside. And then from Echo Park, I have this blue and red cardstock. And then this is my 12x12. It's just emerald cardstock from Close to My Heart, and you won't even see it. So it's not really a part. I didn't care if it matched or anything. It was just a cardstock that I picked that I had an abundance of. So that's one of the things that I like to keep my cardstock around for, because I really don't keep ugly pattern paper to use as a base like this. Plus, normally the pattern paper that I end up having for this are like thinner, and so they really wouldn't work anyways. All right, so now that my wood frame, it gave me a little fit. I had to cut it in a piece. I will be covering that piece up, hopefully, but I had to cut it to get it to lay down flat. So I don't know what I did wrong, but it was a little on the thinner side, so I couldn't necessarily pick it back up to figure out why it wasn't laying flat. So I just decided, instead of trying to rip the whole thing, I'm just going to cut it in this one spot, and yay, it laid flat. All right. Like I said, I wanted to use that wood grain, Minte wood grain slats for my photo mats, but they just weren't, it was driving me nuts that they weren't straight across, which there's a good reason for that. I ended up, that's not how I cut them, right? And then I thought I was going to use the backside as embellishments, and that idea changed. So I'm not sure if I'm going to bring that wood grain back in or not. And then I decided to use this blue piece as just one huge giant photo mat. So I went ahead and I trimmed my photos down 1/8 of an inch on all, two sides, and then that way I will be able to span this across and have my 2-page or my 2-photo mat. I also did not want to put my photos all the way down at the bottom. I just did not want to do this. This wasn't the idea that I had in my head when I started pulling all these pieces together and working on my layout. But because of that cut inside my wood grain frame, I felt obligated to have something down there to cover up that teeny tiny little gap, because I did not want this very bright greenery showing along the bottom side. So I'm trying to make it work. I really should have put my rice paper in the middle of this frame. I did not think about that until after. I knew that that's where it was going to go. I mean, this whole layout was a make it up as I go along type of layout, because I was like, shoot, I glued this frame down prematurely. I should have put my my rice paper down, but I forgot. So let me lift up the edge a little bit. Well, then as I was lifting up the edge, I thought, oh, well, a scuffed edge would look really cool too. So I scuffed up the edge, and now I spend a lot of time trying to get this rice paper in, and I don't even glue it down, you guys. Like, how not to put a layout together? Well, number one, don't forget to glue your paper down. But that is how you cannot put a layout together. It's, I mean, who needs adhesive? I clearly don't. I left all of this in, you guys, seriously, because it's a struggle that I forget sometimes, what steps need to go first. Like, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's some rules need to be applied. I'm just saying. Oh, look, I glued one corner down. That's not how that's supposed to work. All right, and then I really wanted to use this ledger piece, but I need to know where to cut it off. At first I thought, oh, I'm just going to cut it here. And then I realized, no, because you glued your frame down, it's going to be impossible to lift back up. And then I'm trying to cut out the pieces that I need for where my photos were going to go, because I thought I was going to put my photos down at the bottom. And this whole time I'm thinking, I don't want my photos down at the bottom, but I have that gap down there. How am I going to fix the gap? Well, let's just keep moving on. Let's just pretend like I know what I'm doing with this layout and move on. So I'm only scuffing up one edge of this ledger paper because I wanted it to look like when I piece these pieces together, yep, that's right, that I want it to look like all the edges were scuffed, but I really can't scuff the edges of the rice paper. It's too thin and flimsy, and it just doesn't do anything anyways. So yeah. All right, continuing on. I just really don't want those photos right there, you guys. I don't. But I'm going to be stubborn and put them there because that small little gap. That's right. All right, so I'm going to at least bring in one of these wood grain pieces. I'm going to cut it down and use them as almost like logs, right? I'm going to scuff up the edges so that way they look like they're rough and ragged wood pieces, like, not sanded, not anything. I just really wanted them to look like old barn pieces, I guess, is where I'm trying to go with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all four pieces. I'm also going to lay them down how I think I want them on the layout. I mean, so right now I have to completely redesign my entire layout because that is not where I wanted my photos to go, you guys. I'm acting like, a spoiled little kid right now. This is not what I wanted, and I'm going to start stomping my feet and pounding my fists, but I'm going to keep moving on because sometimes what I don't want and how it has to go, it ends up working in the end. Sometimes. So I'm going to keep going. These are just photos of my husband and I. We were, actually my whole family. We meet up every other year with his dad and his dad's wife. We meet up every year at June Lake, and we end up spending 2 weeks there, just having a blast. We rent a cabin. They rent a smaller cabin. They actually end up renting. It's not really a standalone cabin. The whole hotel is a cabin, and then we end up renting a 3-room portion of that. And my husband's dad, and wife end up renting a 2-parter. It's a 1-room cabin that's linked to another 1-room cabin. And the reason that is because sometimes they bring my husband's grandma along. So that way we have 4 generations there. So it would be our kids, my husband, his dad, and then his grandma. So 4 generations at this cabin. And it's just super fun. All right, so the whining finally won, and I finally realized you didn't glue that down. All that hard work, and you didn't glue it down. That was fun. Don't do that. So now I have to squeeze all this stuff back underneath, and I'm going to go ahead and use my Take Your Pick tool from Stampin' Up, and it has this really cool little spatula underneath it. and it just helps me glide that paper underneath. And because it's rice paper, it's not really fighting me a whole lot. But I decided that I'm going to take the bottom portion of my ledger paper as well as the bottom portion of my rice paper and finish filling in the wood frame. I don't care anymore about that small little gap down at the bottom of my wood frame. I don't care. I will cover it up. I'll figure it out later, but I did not want my photos at the very bottom of this layout. It would have definitely made it look weird, because it's, it just doesn't work that way. In my brain, nope, couldn't do it. So, and then I thought that I measured how not to put a layout together. I thought that I measured where all of my pieces were supposed to go and how big they were. And look at that gap. Nope, that's not what I measured at all. But hey, we're just going to keep going. My photos aren't at the bottom, so I'm good. I'm done whining. I'm done. I got my way. It's my layout. I can do what I want, right? So yeah, I definitely got my way and how I wanted to put this layout together. So I'm just using my spatula to get all the pieces in, and I went off camera and took all the journey pieces, not all of them, just the pieces I wanted to use for this layout, which is about half the set. And I decided that I was going to spray some of them black, some of them gold, and some of them with a shimmers called Pipe Cream. And I just thought that is the coolest name ever, and it is a gorgeous off-white spray. You guys, I love that color. I hope that they have it. It came in a color kit, and I hope that they have it one day outside of a color kit, because it is absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes they told me sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It just depends on how I don't know the how difficult it is to make it or something. I can't remember what they said, but I know some of them that I've asked about, they said, yeah, it'll come out on its own. All right, so also off camera, I finished fussy cutting out that Minte fussy cut paper that I had, and I've been using it. I think I've used it on 2 other layouts. Well, here it is being used. No, I used it on a layout you haven't seen yet. So this is the second time that I use these the fussy cut out pieces. I think it's called From a Day in the Life set. And I'm using all of the florals that were in that set. So before I used all of the nail heads, and all the, I don't know what, I think it was just the nail heads. And now I'm using all the florals, and then the other pieces, the lights and stuff like that will be used on another layout. Surprise, surprise. So I'm using my chipboard frame, my chipboard film strip, to help cover up that gap down at the bottom, and I am loving that. It just fits perfectly. It's not as big of an eyesore as it was, before. I didn't have to use my photos. I got my photos where I wanted them. It's all coming together marvelously now. I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing things down. Normally what I do is I put everything together. I lay it all out first to see if I like the way it is. Well, with this one, I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. I am just going to slap it down and call it good, because I already, threw a fit once and ended up getting my way. It's my layout, you guys. I can do what I want with it, right? So these trees from Close to My Heart are a little on the thicker side. They aren't exactly the same thickness as the chipboard. So I do have to finagle them a little bit. I really wanted them to overlap the way that they are. However, because of the difference between the chipboard and the wood pieces, they don't lay flat enough for me to do it. I can't stick a piece of foam in, or then it would be way too thick. So yeah, I have to finagle it just a little bit when I go to glue everything down. Right now, I am just trying to divide and conquer my supplies, make sure that I have enough gold up at the top as well as enough gold down at the bottom, make sure that I spread my trees out enough to where they, can make a difference. Now that I think about it, I should have put that open tree down with one of the closed trees and then a closed tree up at the top by itself. But I didn't think about that at the time, and I wonder what it would look like, but I don't know. I do like how it ends up looking in the end. My first thought with this film strip was that I was going to have little bits and pieces in each of the little sections. But then when I added that wood plank on top, it didn't end up working that way, because now I felt like I closed off three to 3.5 of those sections. And so I really can't do that, or I'd be competing with that wood plank. And so I just went with it. I just started putting pieces down the way that I felt like they needed to go down. And yeah, it just ended up working out really well. And I started, okay, I'm going to glue this piece down. Oh, I really like that. So now I can, concentrate on a few more other little pieces. I had to mat the backside of the compass just because it was blending too much in with the florals and the wood planks. I'm wondering if I would have done the opposite and painted it with the pipe cream shimmer spray, and then backed it, put it on top of the florals and wood planks, then it would have made a difference. But I really wanted to bring some black up into that cluster besides the photo camera. So here's where I'm struggling with the depth thickness, the differences of thicknesses on the trees. So I couldn't overlap them like I really, really wanted to, which is, like I said, it was just fine. I also did not end up using that branding strip from Close to My Heart, the little word that I cut out. By the time that I put it down, it looked too heavy for the rest of my layout. It just was a big brown block brick weighing the layout down. I just really didn't like how it looked. So I put it up on my tray with all the other little elements that I found throughout my scrap box that I'd forgotten about and I want to try to use up for this month. I mean, I probably won't use everything in that little tray, but I do like having all the different little elements in that tray. I've got so many different little things to pick and choose from, and some of them may work with the themes of the layouts and the photos that I've picked out for my layouts, and some may not. Who knows? I don't. So yeah, I'm just going to keep working on. I do love when I get these little chevron arrow pieces, either in chipboard or from a punch or something like that, because then I can scatter them through my page. I'm only scattering them here up at the top, but I can scatter them on a page, and it just gives that movement feel on a layout. And I really do like adding these, even though it is a kind of a pill to add them individually. And I'm not putting them back together the way that they were displayed on the chipboard piece, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. You don't always have to follow the rules, but sometimes you need rules because adhesive on a layout is very important. I'm just saying that's definitely a rule that I would follow. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do for this layout is add in the last little bits of the florals from the Minte, cut aparts. And as I'm scuffing up the edges of the individual flowers, I'm thinking, do I need some sort of sequin or dot or something in the center of these flowers? They look unfinished. They look like they were supposed to be stacked on top of each other to make one giant, not giant, but one layered flower. I don't know. So I'm winging it here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all the flowers down on my layout. I'm going to scuff them and bend them up a little bit to give it a little bit of depth, while I think about whether or not I need to add something in the center of them, in all honesty. Almost forgot to put my little geotags down with some glue, so I remembered that. I tried for a third time bringing in that hike flare. I almost thought about covering up the center of the compass, and then I thought, nope, I'm good. I don't need to bring that in because technically we're not hiking yet. We just barely got to June Lake, and I love taking a picture as we round that bend and see all that water amongst all those trees. It is just a gorgeous gorgeous site, you guys. And the first thing I do is I send it to Cora because she is so close being in Reno. And sometimes she comes down for a day. Sometimes she can't because of work. So to fix a couple things that I did to my wood frame by lifting things off too many times, I just used some walnut stain in Distress Oxide and on a sponge, and sponged it and blended it in. I blend it in. I over blend it a little bit. There's my gap. That's okay. It's smaller than it was. I blend it a little bit over just so that way it looks like I intentionally did it. And then I pick a couple more spots to do some more blending. And then it really looks like it was intentional. So in the end, it all ends up blending in. All right, you guys, that is my layout for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and, following the process. It was fun. It was stressful, not stressful like in a bad way, but it definitely, brought the good side out of me. But I won. I got my layout the way that I wanted it finally. Yay. But sometimes you have an inner struggle with yourself when it comes to this is what you want and this is what you feel like you have to do, right? And so anyways, I've got a lot of links down below for everyone that is playing along with Baby Got Scraps. So go down below in the description box and check out all those links to several different channels, and go find a new subscriber. It would be great. Also, too, that's it. Yeah, I'm done. You guys have a great day, and I will check y'all later. Bye.